Own the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last.
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for this episode of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. I'm Bob Phillips.
And I'm Kelly Phillips. Okay, just the other night, we were watching a special program that was a tribute to the musician and performer, Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
And there she was on stage playing what looked like to be a washboard that was somehow strapped to her chest.
Yep, only that was no washboard, at least not like the kind people used to use to wash their clothes. And while we're at it, I guess in many parts of the world, people still use them. No, that was a special washboard that is now referred to as a rub board because it's become a bona fide musical instrument.
And we happen to know that that rub board being played by Cyndi Lauper was made by a man, where else but Southern Louisiana.
We are in Sunset, Louisiana, which is about 10 miles north of Lafayette, Louisiana. And Sunset is actually the rub board capital of the world.
Rub board.
Rub board capital.
Like my mama used to do our shirts and stuff on?
Exactly.
You're doing laundry?
Well, you can. You can use it for anything. You can use it for armor plate. You can use it to play music. You can use it to wash clothes. You know.
And
it doesn't matter. There's no limit to it. You know?
Why is this the washboard capital of the world?
Because of me.
Meet T. Don Landry, a bona fide Cajun and the sole reason some people call Sunset, Louisiana the washboard capital of the world. Now, unless you're of a certain age, and maybe even from a certain socioeconomic level, you probably have no idea what a washboard is.
You see, there was a time in the days before people had machines to wash their clothes when they rubbed their wet clothing on a washboard, a piece of rippled metal with a wooden frame around it. The washboard provided some friction to make it easier to get stains out of their clothes.
But in places like Louisiana, where people were innovative by necessity and turned things like crawdads, aka mudbugs, into a delicacy food item, the washboard took on a new purpose, that of a musical instrument.
They're actually a modern version of the old washboard. So I call them rub boards.
How did you get into making rub boards?
Well, it's a long story. It goes way back. My father, he worked at the refineries. He was a welder and an iron worker. And Clifton Chenier, the king of Zydeco, and his brother worked there too. So one day, Clifton asked my dad, he said, can you make me this? And he took a stick and he made a drawing of a rub board on the sand and the dirt. He said, can you make me something like that? I said, yeah. He said, I can make anything you want.
In the early days of the washboard, or rub board, as a musical instrument instead of a laundry utensil, musicians would attach a string to the board and hang it around their necks.
But when T. Don's daddy made that board for the musician he worked with at the refinery, he stripped off the wooden frame and added something new, a curved piece of metal on each side so the rub board would hang over the user's shoulders, much more comfortable.
And that innovative idea became the preferred design for rub boards. Everybody wanted one. Even T. Don, who started out playing drums in a band, wanted to play the rub board.
And when T. Don's daddy died, Well, he knew he had to take up the mission of providing rub boards to the world.
And so I got a machine, and I started. That was back in '95, and I've been doing it ever since.
Almost
I've always-
30 years.
Yeah, I'll never forget to this day when I got my first order. It was a lady named Diane. I forget where she was from. I know I got it probably marked down somewhere. I was so freaking excited.
I
Because
sold
before
one.
that, see, I was traveling, playing Zydeco music, playing the rub board.
So how many rub boards do you think you've made?
Over 5,000. The big ones, just the big ones.
Is there a difference in the way these different ones sound?
Yes.
And does it depend on the size, the shape, and all that?
Yeah, I can show you.
Show me.
So,
Is that a certain key?
key of Z.
Of Z.
Z.
The name
That's
of
the name, yeah. So now we get into,
Oh.
see? So this is the thinner material, the 24. Now you're going to the 22 gauge stainless, which is a little bit thicker. Mm-hmm. The smaller the number, the thicker the material. Yeah. And right here, this is the Cadillac. This is the 20 gauge, which is the thickest and the heaviest.
Oh, you can really tell the difference.
Think the rub board is such a specialty item that T-Don only sells a few here and there?
Well, that depends on what you call a few. T-Don says he's sold rub boards all over the world. Tell me this, you said you made, what, more than 5,000 of
Over
these
5,000 right now.
things? What are all those little flags on that map of the United
Well,
States behind you?
these flags, one day I just started thinking about it, and I said, how cool would it be to get a map of the United States and a map of Europe and start numbering them? Let's see. Yeah, hey.
Do you have rub boards?
Yeah, I'm doing an interview right now.
Do you want to let them, are they coming to take a look at these?
Y'all can come
If
in.
you don't mind being on a radio show, come on in and take a look.
Sure.
Where y'all from?
Montreal.
I'm T-Don.
Nice
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Peter.
Nice to meet
And
you.
where are you folks from?
Montreal.
Montreal, Canada.
And how did you hear about the rub board capital of the world?
Well, we play Zydeco music,
It's all over the world.
and he has a couple of T-Don's boards that he got shipped.
So I wanted to see the place where
The factory. Je l'aime pas le français.
Ouais, c'est bon.
Mais je parle pas comme habitude.
And the rest of the afternoon was spent in a whirlwind conversation about Zydeco music and rub boards and different techniques T-Don taught his visitors about how the originators of this musical genre do this and that.
It was a delightful time spent between a group of strangers who are separated by borders, but brought together by this magical music.
So it's going to come to where I think the Zydeco music is going to overtake the Cajun music. And it's happening now.
We found this next story in Ohio when we wandered into a historic church and heard a sound coming from some back rooms down a hall.
There sat a man who was working with a young girl with a traumatic brain injury, or TBI, to help her to be a member of a symphony orchestra, even though she has limited movement and is no longer verbal. It's all part of a plan the teacher has to make music available to anyone who wants to be a part of it.
My name is Cottrell Chen, and I was originally born in Singapore. And I moved over to the States to initially do my psychology degree. I was kind of born with the piano. I've been playing the piano since I was 7. I've always loved music. And both my parents are in the medical field. So I decided, well, I'm not smart enough to do medicine, but I can go mess in people's minds. So I did a psych degree over at the University of British Columbia over in Vancouver initially. And then I've always loved music, and I wanted to see what I could combine the two. and I'm currently a board-certified music therapist.
Music therapy is an accepted part of psychology and medicine that is meant to help people to achieve goals. It's used for those with intellectual and developmental disabilities, depression, brain injuries, and a number of other things that affect how people live their lives.
The idea behind it is that music is like a universal language that can cross physical and mental barriers, imagined or real, and speak to certain people where normal forms of communication simply don't work. Cottrell Chen is an expert in music therapy, and the research and experiments he's doing are groundbreaking.
The nice thing about music is you can impact a whole bunch of different behavioral areas. If I did this, for example, that is like almost universal across, regardless of whatever culture you're in. It's hilarious when I do that because
We just met 2 minutes ago, and now we're making music together.
music therapy is that clinical application of music.
But the thing that Cottrell Chen is doing with music therapy that has gotten so much attention worldwide is something he calls Hearts for Music.
It involves 4 or 5 people who you never would expect would be able to play music. Yet there they are, playing together as an ensemble, with Cottrell conducting and playing with the group. And the sounds they make would surprise you.
If I play a single note and I blindfold you, you just hear music. You wouldn't be able to tell if that person's disabled. And so Hearts with Music was born out of that desire for every kiddo and adult with special needs to have a public platform to perform on stage to show that they are capable. If you give them the right tools, the patience, and the love, they can make music that's almost indistinguishable because of the technology that we live in.
Journey is from Fremont, Indiana, and she was born and raised there, and she is 8 years old.
Cynthia became Journey's primary caregiver after a drunk and drugged driver crashed into the car carrying Journey, her mom and dad, and little brother. Now Journey has a traumatic brain injury. Doctors said she would never walk, never speak, and never be able to do anything on her own.
She started walking about a year after the accident, and she before couldn't eat any of her food by mouth, and now she's eating all of her food by mouth, and the doctors are just astonished at all the progress she has made. They said that she's just a miracle.
How is she involved?
She actually plays an iPad. Cottrell has the chords downloaded onto an iPad, and I help her either slide up and down on the chords or tap on the chords. And he has the iPad's hooked into a speaker system, and it gives like an organ type sound through the speaker system.
Under normal circumstances, a kid, a 7-year-old with ADHD would have no reasons to be friends with a 60-year-old Alzheimer's. There's nothing to bridge that gap. Or say a 35-year-old with autism to make friends with a 20-year-old from Downs. It's really hard to find something that collides all this world together. And I really wanted Hearts for Music to be a group that united every disability under the sun.
From his modest work with music therapy in Akron, Ohio, Cottrell Chen is attracting attention. Other music therapists have heard about his work and want to start their own chapter of Hearts for Music where they live.
But perhaps the biggest praise this program has received so far is an invitation Cottrell's group got, inviting them to help celebrate the Jubilee for Disabilities this coming spring.
We received a formal invitation from the Vatican inviting us to come and perform. So April 29th, we will perform over at the Vatican. So for the first time ever, if all goes well, God willing, we'll have a multinational, multi-ethnic, multi-disability group playing all together for the first time in Rome.
How does that make you feel?
Honestly, I'm scared to death. I'm really happy to give them this platform and to have the world acknowledge this is what they can do. And then also to see it link across people with different languages, different nationalities. It's not just people from the United States.
Cottrell Chen has started a movement of sorts, a movement of inclusion, of acceptance, of recognition of our differences.
And in the process, he has acknowledged the worth of an entire part of our society that may have thought they had none. And he has placed a spotlight on the importance of a very human thing called love.
I want them to be able to come out and perform and show them that, to show everybody that regardless of our disabilities, we can create something beautiful, we have value, we have worth, and our self-esteem is all the way up to the top.
Do you see a lot of tears?
I do. Very happy tears.
Do you have a lot of tears yourself?
Yes, I do. Very much so. And it's wonderful to see that love for thy neighbor.
You know, Kelly, it's hard for us to imagine, but there was a time when some people who considered themselves to be serious musicians did not recognize the guitar as a musical instrument.
Seriously, then how do they account for the likes of, I don't know, Eric Clapton, Vince Gill, Brad Paisley, Jimi Hendrix, and all of the other guitar greats?
Well, I guess eventually they had to admit they were wrong, right?
Yep.
Anyway, since that time, the guitar and the ability to master it is a special skill indeed. But there's a guy in Florida who caters to just that kind of talent.
That's Peter Pringle singing what is generally believed to be the oldest known song in the world. The words and music were discovered on a clay tablet found in Syria and are thought to be 3,500 to 4,000 years old.
Peter is playing the long-necked lute, an ancient stringed instrument he made himself that looks somewhat similar to a guitar. And that is the sound of Gary Hudson playing a modern-day guitar, but not just any guitar.
Like Peter Pringle's lute, Gary put this instrument together himself. It's something that's been a part of him since he was a little boy.
When was the first time you remember having a guitar in your hand?
My mom and daddy surprised me with a guitar, and so they give me this guitar, and it's a Western Auto True Tone guitar. It was bought from the Western Auto hardware store.
About $30.
It had, about $30.
So you never had any formal lessons?
No, I was self-taught. I just watch and listen,
Even though guitar music has lived deep in his soul since he was a kid, Gary has not always made his living with the instrument, at least not full-time.
In fact, he stopped playing completely for a while during his self-improvement period. But there was something about that sound that kept calling to him.
I almost quit playing guitar entirely for about 8 or 10 straight years.
Why?
Those are my seminary years. I was working full-time, going to seminary full-time, trying to get a church. So, 3 churches from like 1982 to about 2008.
Okay, so these are your seminary years. You're working on your soul. So you can work on other people's souls, but what does it do to your soul to give up the guitar?
Well, it wasn't like giving it up, like I never touched it again, but like every now and then there would be one in a church and I'd pick it up and play Amazing Grace for someone.
And then Gary came to realize that it wasn't just playing guitars that fed the very existence of his being. He found that he had a kind of reverence for the instrument itself.
And that making very special guitars available to others who revered the instrument, kind of like his former job as a Baptist preacher, gave him a kind of spiritual experience.
Now, I have built guitars from scratch, where I make the neck, I make the body, but it's too expensive. You can buy excellent parts already made. You can save people all kinds of money by not having to build the thing yourself. I'm a guitar tech, okay? I don't really think of myself as a luthier, even though everybody calls me a luthier. See, a luthier is something to me that's more specialized than what I do. A luthier is somebody that can make an acoustic guitar. That's what a luthier is to me. I am a guitar tech.
But you've made
I have
guitars.
made some guitars, yes, but I don't do it for a living. I build Stratocasters, Telecasters, and basses. Here are 4 guitars I've built. Now these I built for myself, but I build them for customers also. So this is what I am. I'm a tech. See, I worked on slightly over 6,000 guitars since January of 2012.
When Gary Hudson talks about assembling one of his custom-made instruments inside his shop, here at Folkstone Guitars in Tallahassee, Florida, you immediately sense that he is personally involved with each and every guitar he picks up.
And like an auto mechanic that is almost in awe of the individual parts and products that make his vehicle perform better than the rest, Gary talks about bridges, pickups, and stainless steel frets, so much that, well, he kind of loses us in the conversation. No matter, though, because it's the sounds he can create that matter most.
You can get any sound you want out of this, even an acoustic guitar sound. Yes, sir. I'll demonstrate it. I'm still running pickups here, see? Still running pickups, okay? But if I want to run acoustic, I'm going to turn my acoustic amp on now. Guitars are about music. I don't want anyone to forget that. Because in a day when there's so much marketing, and we tend to lose sight of the fact that guitars are about music. The reason I've got the number of guitars I have is because each one has a different voice. I have a choir, and I put those together on recorded music.
What is it about music?
Here's the great thing about it. It gets people together. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what country you're from. It doesn't matter what age you are, what sex you are.
It seems like this is in your blood, though.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's nothing that gives me more pleasure than to watch, especially a young person. You know, someone's 12-year-old or 13-year-old that's taking lessons, and their guitar is hard to play. And I tell them, I say, you know, it's hard to play a guitar. And they look at me, it is? I say, yeah, it's hard. But why make it harder? You know, let's get the strings close to the frets. Let's lower the action. Let's make it play like butter. Let's make it play like a push-button guitar. Okay, so I set their guitars up for them, and when they pick it up and they sit over there and they try it out, and Mom, it's so easy now. That is all the reward I need. I mean, that right there is what I'm about.
What is that?
Seriously.
How does that make you feel when you do that?
Euphoric. Euphoric. It's an epiphany. It's why I'm on the earth. To help everybody's guitars work for them.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, this last story this week is about a place you would probably just pass on the side of the road there in Jackson, Mississippi. Never even notice it.
But inside that nondescript building, you will find more awards and gold records and such than you can even imagine. The walls are cluttered with pictures of famous musical artists whose names read like a who's who of the industry.
And it was all started by some college kids a long time ago who've stayed around and enjoyed the success they created. It's called Malaco Records.
When I first, about 11 years old, my oldest brother said, come out on the couch, everybody. And he said, you say woo, and you say woo, and you say woo. And we said, okay. And the first time we did that and I heard the harmony, I said, well, they're going to have a hard time getting me back in school. This is it. I know I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
Daryl Luster remembers growing up in North Carolina where, like most kids, he was fascinated by music. But Daryl's love wasn't just about the songs he heard or even the people singing them, but for the business itself.
He grew up listening to Southern black gospel, mostly published on a label called Malaco, and he knew the names of all the musicians that worked in that genre. But it was a visit to a friend's house that broadened Daryl's view of the world of music.
I didn't know that Malaco was doing blues, you know, Johnny Taylor and all that. I didn't know that they were doing that. I was raised from 75 when they started the gospel division. So that's all I knew about. And I remember seeing the albums and the logo, you know, Malaco Records. And until I went over a friend of mine's house one day and his mother was playing music. And I was hearing all of this blues music, and I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. And when she would change the album, the 33 and a third, she flipped and I saw the logo. And I became offended. And I said, I thought that they were gospel. My feelings was hurt. And I said, they down there mixing salt with sugar. But they had big, huge records with ZZ Hill and Down Home Blues. They were doing that stuff, and I was like, oh my God, which made me say again, I had to get down there and see. It was a magic going on here. Everything that they were doing, everything that they were putting out was killing the radio.
Malaco Records got its start at Ole Miss, when a pharmacy student named Tommy Couch started booking bands to appear at campus parties just to make a few extra bucks. That grew to a successful recording company after Tommy got married to a girl from Jackson.
Like almost any company, in the early days, they did whatever paid the rent. But they soon became known for producing gospel music, and later, soul music. Or as Tommy Couch is famous for saying, we make black music for black people.
Daryl Luster says the success of Malaco over the decades is part of what makes Mississippi the birthplace of original American music.
The birthplace of Elvis from Tupelo, Sam Cooke from Clarksdale, Ike Turner from Clarksdale. Music is born here. So we're kind of like Mississippi is the capital of music.
During its first 20 years or so, Malaco expanded into gospel, soul, and blues. Lots of well-known rock and pop artists have walked through the doors here at Malaco, or even worked on staff at the label. Names like Bob Seger and Paul Davis.
Everyone in the music business seems to know Tommy Couch, one of Malaco's founders. And artists have been known to travel long distances to work with the legendary Gerald Wolfe Stevenson, another Malaco original who has run their studio for decades. But it was those gospel, soul, and blues artists who really put Malaco on the map.
If you're in the blues, you're going to know Johnny Taylor. You're going to know Little Milton. You're going to know Shirley Brown. You're going to know Bobby Blue Bland, of course. And if you're into gospel, you're going to know the Mississippi Mass Choir. You're going to know the Jackson Southerners, the Williams Brothers. You're going to know Dottie Peoples. The list goes on and on.
Tell us about all of these awards on the wall. What are these?
On the walls.
Yes.
Everywhere you look, there's awards. In fact, they just delivered some more out here at the front door.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
The ones that are out in the lobby are from samples from people like Trippie Redd, so people that I don't even know. I have to ask my children. I guess I've had too many birthdays.
I mean, there's a Whitney Houston out there.
Bob Seger.
Whitney Houston is the Preacher's Wife soundtrack, which the Georgia Mass did all of the music on that. And the Bob Seger is one of our staff writers. George Jackson wrote the song. And an interesting part of that, they did the demo at Muscle Shows. Bob Seger wanted to do the song, so he said, I'm gonna cut this. And he kept trying to get it, and he never could get the feeling that was on the demo. So he ended up saying, well, I'll just use the demo.
What was that song?
Old Time Rock and Roll. So many other songs like Ring My Bell, out of here, Mr. Big Stuff, Groove Me, all of that came right out of here.
Over the years, Malaco survived and expanded by buying other record labels. Names like Apollo Records, home to Mahalia Jackson, Savoy Records, Atlanta International, and Muscle Shoals, often acquiring those labels' artists with the sale.
Now, more than 50 years after it was founded, Malaco is experiencing new success, partly due to its huge recording library. Daryl Luster says Malaco is still in it for the long haul, because music will always be an important part of life.
A lot of places that we talk about now, Stax, a lot of these places, Motown, where it happened, are museums now. And the one thing that I'm proud about is that we're not a museum here at Malaco. We're working every day. We're still doing what they started over almost 60 years ago, and we're still doing it today. Those other places you just walk through and see where it used to be done, we're still doing it. I heard Tommy Sr. say one day, who is the founder, surrounded myself with good people. So when he did that, you could always look for success. Tommy Jr. is now the president, and he took that format, but realizing that we're in another generation, but he still found out how to continue and be successful. Now with the great catalog that we have, we're into another dispensation of sampling, which makes a whole lot of money. Then we have a large catalog which people want to sample from, and it just goes on from there. And then we were able to acquire other companies along the way, so which makes us the largest independent record company in the world.
From birth, or maybe even before, Daryl Luster's life has revolved around music, and it still does, maybe even more so today.
But he still thinks back on that day when his brother taught him to sing, and that was a moment that truly changed his life.
I don't remember a time without music, but it never hit me that I could do it until I got on the couch with my oldest brother and he taught us to sing. Because everything that I am is because he believed in me. And I wasn't satisfied with just singing. I wanted to know the business.
That's it for this special edition of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. We hope you've enjoyed these pieces that are, well, somehow linked by music.
Even though they are each very different from the other. Let's do it again next week. And as always, just a reminder, you can always listen to On the Road with Kelly and Bob wherever you get your podcast. Or the best thing to do, download that free Odyssey app. Listen anytime, anywhere.